meeting of the Texas Veterans Commission to order. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Mary Dale will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag, and Secretary Kevin Barber will lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I request Chip Osborne to come up to give us an opening prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We especially thank you that we live in a country that celebrates our veterans. Thank you for all the veterans that have served and the ones that have served in the past. It's a great celebration, Lord. We just thank you for that. We especially thank you for our commissioners with their attention to detail, always striving to make services better for our veterans that live in the great state of Texas. Now, Heavenly Father, we ask that you continue to bless us and prepare us as we have this commission meeting and as well as we roll into the next executive session, Lord. Again, we give all thanks to you. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. At this time, I'll open the floor to any members of the public that wishes to address the commission on matters under its purview. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And please remember, this is a time for the commissioners to consider public comments. Any discussion or deliberation by the commission for matters not posted on the agenda must be limited to a proposal to place the subject on a later agenda or confined to statements of factual information or existing policy on the subject. Do we have anyone that had signed up in person? Okay. All righty. Moving on, we'll go to the consent agenda. At this time, does any commissioner wish to remove anything off the consent agenda and place it on the FY25 Q1 commission meeting agenda? I will remove item C as there are no gifts to accept. We will not need to add it to the agenda. There's nothing to accept on that agenda item. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Can you turn your mic on?
It is.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion passes. Now moving on to our presentations. Our first presentation is a presentation from the FY24 Internal Audit Report and the Procurement Follow-Up Report. And I'll ask Daniel Graves from Weaver Risk Advisory Services to give this report.
Good morning. Yes, we do have 2 reports here to present to you in this part of the agenda. One, as you mentioned, was the follow-up procedures report over our procurement. In 2022, we performed an internal audit over procurement and we had findings. 2023, we performed remediation audit and had 1 finding remaining. So for 2024, we did perform follow-up procedures over that finding. It was related to vendor performance reporting. And there's a Texas statute that has the VPTS, the vendor performance tracking system, where agencies have to submit vendor reports through the system once the contracts are complete. And we performed our follow-up procedures. We identified where management had put procedures into place. However, there were no instances of occurrence, so no population to test. And with that, we brought that back to management, and management has elected to close that finding to accept any remaining risk of us not testing. And so that is what is in the report. It has a satisfactory rating issued over that. And the second report we have in this item on the agenda is our annual internal audit report. This annual report is required by the Texas Internal Audit Act. In this report, there's 7 sections that are prescribed by the state auditor's office of what has to go in the report. The first is a compliance disclosure. Second section is a disclosure on the fiscal 2024 internal audit plan. and its status. The next section is any consulting services that were provided by your internal audit services. There were none, so we've disclosed that. Section 4 is our quality assurance review. So that is our peer review report. As a public accounting firm in the state of Texas, we're subject to peer review once every 3 years. And this is our most recent report where we received the highest rating of pass. Section 5 is the internal audit plan. I'll call special attention to that. That is intended to be the internal audit plan for fiscal year 2025. As you've selected another internal auditor through the open procurement process, we just disclosed in there that auditor will perform a risk assessment, create the plan, and that they will submit that to the SAO, the LBB, and the governor's office at such time it's completed. So it's just a different disclosure than what we normally would have in there. Section 6 is any external audit services procured, which there were none. So that there's disclosure there for that. And Section 7 is a standard disclosure on how the agency handles fraud, waste, and abuse reporting. With that, I'll open for any questions on those two reports. It's pretty simple this time around.
Commissioners, any questions on either report? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Next agenda item is the introduction of our FY25 internal auditor, Garza and Gonzalez. And I'm going to ask Kim Gonzalez to give this presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Kim Lopez Gonzalez, representing Garza Gonzalez and Associates. I'm here today just to give you a brief introduction of our firm, Garza Gonzalez and Associates. With that, I'd like to let you know that I have been working already with the agency to perform the risk assessment for fiscal year 25, to develop the audit plan for fiscal year 25, which will come to you at your next commission meeting, which I believe is in February. Our firm, Garza Gonzalez and Associates, is located in San Antonio, Texas. We have years of experience performing internal audits for various state agencies. So I'm looking forward to working with the agency and providing you with oversight, working independently with you, the board members, the commission members, but working very closely with staff to develop the deliverables that are required. I'd like to open it up for any questions that you may have in regards to our firm and our experience.
Commissioners, any questions? And so we anticipate to see the 2025 internal audit plan at our next commission meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We have already developed the risk assessment. I've been discussing it with our audit contact, the Deputy Executive Director, and we are moving forward on preparing that audit plan. We are very close to having it prepared.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming and introducing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, next on our agenda is a recognition of our former advisory committee members. And I'll ask the director who oversees the advisory committee to each come up and to present the awards. And after each presentation, we're going to take a picture. So believe the first one up is Elaine Zavala for the Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee. And commissioners, when it's time, we're going to come up around and we're going to take a picture.
Sure. Good morning, commissioners, Mr. Palladino, Elaine Zavala, Fund for Veterans Assistance. I'm recognizing 4 committee members that are actually not here today, so we won't be taking a picture, but I do believe some of them may be online. So in recognition and appreciation for their outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Fund for Veterans Assistance Advisory Committee, their exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. So 4 committee members, their term has ended. Dan Ball, Jamila James, Luis Martinez, and Carrie Reyna. Carrie was our chair for many, many years. And I want to thank them personally for all the work that they have done, because even before I had worked with them a while ago as well. So I appreciate them and all that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine, will we be sending them? I'm sorry. Will we be sending them a certificate of appreciation?
Yes,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next up is Angela.
Commissioners, Executive Director, this is Angela Wellner for the record, Director of Communications and Outreach, and I would like to recognize 3 of our Veteran Services Advisory Committee members who are here today. And we will have certificates for the other 5, and I will name them as well. First, I would like to have the Texas Veterans Commission Certificate of Appreciation presented to Jim Brennan in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. Your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Jim?
Well, do you want us to individually or the whole group?
I think we should probably have individually and the whole group personally. I can read the others as we continue then. Also, a certificate of appreciation presented to Jim Cunningham in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. Your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Thanks so much, sir. And finally, our chairman, Texas Veterans Commission Certificate of Appreciation presented to Earl Newsom in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. Your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Thank you so much for your service. Appreciate it. All together now? And as you go ahead and we get ready for the next, I'd also like to name those who were unable to attend today. Dr. Larry Wallace, Greg Gomel, Sarah Maxon, Kitty Myers, Holly Morrison, and Lee Rivas. They all extend their apologies for not being able to be here. A couple had reasons that came up last minute. But again, we thank them all for their service and dedication to the state of Texas and the Texas Veterans Commission. And next we'll have Sal Castillo.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Sal Castillo, and like Elaine and Angela, I got some folks that we need to recognize, great partners or county service officers. So I will call up Ms. Lavette Dominique. You can join us. In recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran County Service Officer Advisory Committee, your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Dominique, for this, we thank you. Next, we have Mr. Mike Hernandez. There he is. In recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to our Texas Veterans Commission, as a member of the Veteran County Service Officers Advisory Committee, your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have successfully improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Mr. Mike Hernandez, thank you so much. All right, next up, we have Mr. Stephen McKee. Come on off, Stephen. In recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran County Service Officers Advisory Committee, your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it. Kenneth Russell, can you come on up, sir? In recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran County Service Officer Advisory Committee, your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life of all Texan veterans, their families, and survivors. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you so much. All right, yeah. Thank you. Well, we got some, I just want to mention the individuals that couldn't make it here. Just want to say thank you for all of you to coming up here. Unfortunately, they weren't here. We have Mr. Calvin Henry, Ms. Vanessa Luviano, Kevin Marshall, Brian Massey, and our chair, Sam Perez, who were unable to come here. But we appreciate all the efforts, and we look forward to working with them in all the other projects here. Thank you so much, Commissioners.
Our next agenda item is agency programs and division updates, and I'll call upon each division director, the deputy executive director, and the executive director to provide an update to the commission. First is the program operations division director, Charlie Cato.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino. I'm Charlie Cato, the Division Director for Program Operations. This is a busy time of year for operations, so I've got a little bit of stuff to start off with. In education, you all have been involved with the Veterans Excellence Education Recognition Awards presentation, and just an update for those. We presented 10 of those awards at the Texas A&M Military Student Affiliation. Chair Kerner was there and was able to give those out. We also presented 5 at the St. Philip's Veterans Affairs associated with Bexar County, which was great. And again, Chair Kerner was there to help present those. We will give out an individual one to the University of North Texas on December 3rd. I think Commissioner Wright is going to assist us with that presentation. And then we have 8 more to present at TACVPO, which is in February. The end of February in Lakeway, and that will take care of presenting all those awards. So everybody was very happy with all the presentations, and any of the schools we interact with are really excited about having that award, be able to just, so got a lot of good press from that, and we appreciate COM for helping us publicize that as well. Also, within this last quarter, we got the new cooperative agreement from Education Services of the Department of Veterans Affairs. That has been signed and returned. Our allocation went up this year. You'll hear that in Michelle's budget report. Our total number of visits also went up this year from last year, but it's actually a little bit easier to do because most of them are supervisory visits with a smaller number of risk-based surveys. And the risk-based surveys take significantly more effort and time to do. So we don't expect to have any problems meeting that. One change that of note that we saw is they changed one of the metrics to 100%. Being an old aviator, about the only 100% metric I'm used to having is nuclear stuff. But this one is for having 100% of the risk-based surveys and supervisory visits done by the end of the year, which really isn't a problem for us to do. So we wouldn't anticipate any problem meeting that metric. And then last thing for education, big news, the Hazelwood Database Project contract has been awarded and has been signed. So we're excited about that getting underway. Anticipate that it will be available prior to the first reporting period in the next academic year. So that's underway. Moving on to healthcare. Our healthcare advocates have been busy in the first quarter. For FY 2025, they've closed around 3,600 cases, saving around $18,000 from 35 different billing issues that they're working across the state. They've also closed 35 constituent inquiries, which as a comparison for at this point last year, it was only 23. So they've been very, very busy in healthcare. For employment, The West Texas Off-Base Transition Training Roadshow took place in October. If you're not familiar with off-base transition training, it's a program that consists of a series of job search skill-oriented workshops developed by DOL. And the workshops are designed to assist military veterans and their spouses in reestablishing themselves in civilian employment. During the month of October, we had a roadshow where our Veterans Employment Services staff went to Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls, Odessa, Abilene, and San Angelo. They touched 378 veterans who attended those workshops. The communications team and Combined Arms were also partners and helped create the flyer and get the QR codes out and get that publicized. So great success. Don't have any hard results from it yet, but those veterans were able to get out there, get prepared, get interviewed. That leads us into what we've done in November on the VES side with our partners at the Workforce Commission, and it's the hiring Red, White, and U events. Those kicked off on November 2nd in Houston. I believe Commissioner Barber was there to cut the ribbon on the first one. And since then, they've been going on, and I thank all of you who've been able to attend all the different events. Don't have any solid numbers from those yet because they're still going on. And there'll be a few more, I think, through the 18th of November across the state. Moving on to the claims department, Chip is going to cover our performance measures, so I'll let him do that. What I want to talk about for the claims department is our mentor trainer liaisons, the MTLs. We instituted that a while back, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a feedback of where that's going, how that's been going along. We have 4 MTLs associated with the districts: Laura Bivens, Katina Cryer, Terry Eschba, and Frank Martinez. One of the initiatives for the MTLs, they handle the PIV cards, the identification cards to get it accredited, used to get into the VA systems. That has always been a thorn in the side, trying to get those finished. This program, by splitting it up, working with VA, getting better access, they've been able to reduce the wait time from 8 to 12 months to 3 to 4 months to get your PIV card. So that means you got that much more time for those service officers to be productive and to be able to get into the system. The district-based MTL support has been great. It enables the VCOs to have more personalized support. They've got an MTL that's nearby them who can come see them. They can pick up the phone and call them, and dividing the state up with 4 versus 1 kind of liaison that we had before has paid off greatly. There are some on-site visits and immediate support. The MTLs are able to go to the counties, spend quality time with each VCSO and or RCBAs, because they work with RCBAs as well. We've been able to up our monthly training sessions. Initial and advanced training sessions are now offered monthly at various locations across the state, making it more convenient for the counties to attend sessions closer to their location. We've gotten a lot of good feedback since the inception of the MTL program. The VCSOs have reached out to individual MTLs and the lead MTL to express their appreciation for the support and the collaboration, which has greatly benefited individual counties and enhanced the overall cooperation with VCSOs and the CBAs. Since January of 2024, we have held, the MTLs have held 15 initial trainings, 8 advanced trainings with a total of 230 hours of training, 98 hours of in-person mentoring, and then 13 virtual hours of mentoring with CVSOs and CBAs. So it's not a new program, but it's fairly new, and it is proving to be very, very effective. And we look forward to even more improvements as we go. And that covers my 4 departments. If there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
Thanks, Charlie. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
At this time, if commissioners, if you're okay with it, we have one more advisory committee member who just arrived, and I wanted to be able to present his presentation, his award. So we'll just take a pause on this agenda item and jump back one. So Angela, I'll call you back up. And we could go ahead and walk around.
Thanks so much. Dr. Larry Wallace is a busy man, so he managed to race here from another meeting. I will go ahead and read this now. Texas Veterans Commission Certificate of Appreciation presented to Dr. Larry Wallace in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission as a member of the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. Your exemplary service, leadership, dedication to duty, and professionalism have directly contributed to the success of this organization and have significantly improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. As you can see, they're all lined up now to take a photo with you.
Okay, we'll continue on with our reports. Next is the Resource Management Division Director, Chip Osborne.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, fellow directors and guests. For the record, my name is Chip Osborne. I'm the Division Director for Resource Management for our agency. I'm really having a hard time just containing myself of all the excitement, because with you guys blessing off on our exceptional items, we have gotten a lot of traction on our mental health program. I'm not going to steal from Sean DeBay's thunder or Mr. P, because they're going to talk about a few other ones, but I'm just ecstatic by that reception that we've gotten from various House and Senate members. By the way, we just received a few moments ago our very first bill for us to analyze. We get these bills called fiscal notes. I'm also pleased to announce the return of Michelle Knoll, our prior CFO, as well as Lawrence Cruz, who is our deputy CFO. So we're so excited to have them back. Y'all also may remember Julie Pazan has also joined our finance team as well. When Michelle took over, her department was half its size. That's how many vacancies we have. Right now, we technically have 3 vacancies. One of them is being filled by a contractor, and they are working diligently to hire those 2 to get things back on traction. So when you heard from the auditor that we had that finding, okay, yes, we do have the procedures in place. You heard Charlie say, hey, we got the contract signed. Remember, contracts that are over $25,000, you then use that tracking system. We got our first contract that's over $25,000. That happens to be the contract for the Hazelwood database. It will go in that system. We'll be able to test it to make sure it actually works and it's functional. Okay. So I did want to bring that up to you. Also, I'm going to have a few directors come. Michelle will come and brief you about our budget closing out 24. And then I'm going to have our director for HR in the training department also come up, and she will give you 2 briefings. One of those will actually be on how we ended the year with our FTEs, how many promotions, XYZ, that we actually performed. And then also she's going to talk about a survey that we do every other year, and that's our employment engagement survey. And then I will come back up and talk with you about the performance measures for FY24. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairwoman Kerner and fellow commissioners and Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Michelle Knoll, the new Chief Financial Officer for the Texas Veterans Commission. If you take a look at the document that's in front of you, it is our budget revenues expenditures for fiscal year 2024. for the fourth quarter as of August 31st. You can look, the first section up top is our summary for the year. It's actually for the whole year. Our spending was at a little over 30 million. Again, this is ending August 31st. You will see that, as Chip mentioned, there was some turnover that took place in 2024. Primarily our salaries our expenditures for our salaries were pretty low as compared to the budget. And then you can also, if you go down to the grants, you awarded the grants for the 24-25 series in May, and those expenditures are starting to process now. And those expenditures will process also through this fiscal year. So those are the two main categories for the low amounts in the expenditures as compared to the budget. Then I'll also go down to the method of finance, the funding for the agency. Overall, 81 million as compared to what we budgeted, estimated at 64. And that high amount is primarily due to the funding that we received to the Funds for Veterans Assistance. We budgeted about 30 million for the year, and we were at 48 million for the year. So I'm going to conclude my brief pending any questions over this budget for 2024 before I go on to the next.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Thanks. So if you go on to the next document, this is fiscal year 2024 lottery revenue estimates, other revenues as well. These are more actuals. Comparing the August 15th meeting to this meeting, our actual lottery revenues increased by 1.3 million. Our estimated annual lottery unclaimed prizes, we projected 3.1, and the actuals came in at 2.1. So it was about $1 million less than what we projected. Cleaning up some UBs from 23, that's closing out some grants that also de-obligations. There was 3.1 that we UB'd forward from 23 that we didn't spend. So we moved them into 24. Also 22 de-obligations of the grants. So we're still working off of 3-year periods. We're working off of 22-year grants, 23, and then you just awarded the 24. So those funds that were de-obligated from the grants, we moved forward into 24. Other revenues, we estimated at 5.4 million. They came in more around 5.5, so a little under 100,000. Therefore, the total actual revenues ending for the fiscal year 24 went up 4.1 million. Going down to the expenses, I'm not going to go through every section, but the total amount was 51 based on what we estimated for 50 million. You granted out 44.2 million in May for the grantees. The expenditures just went up a little under 500,000. Therefore, the 7 million you see that's highlighted at the bottom, those funds will go into 2025 to go towards the next year's grant cycle. Before moving on, do you have any questions on this? So going on to 2025, this is the estimate lottery revenues for this next fiscal year. If you see that 7 million plus the 3 million that we set aside for the contingency, when you go to the 2025, the third line down, the UB from 24, that's that 10 million, 10,046,993. So we move that into this next year to be projected for grants. So everything's estimated right now for 2025. We're estimating 45 million in all revenues, general revenues for the year. And then the expenditures that we project for 2025 is 37 million. Now, the RFA is 30 that we put out is the 30 million plus the 1 million for the service dogs for veterans. So 31 million went out to the RFA. We planned for those, and with the actual projected revenues for 25 and then the estimated expenditures for the grants and operating expenditures, we project an additional 8 million for 25. it's pretty good. And then I'll give updates throughout each quarter. That concludes my brief, pending any questions that you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Any questions, commissioners? Welcome back.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Tina.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and Mr. Palladino. My name is Tina Whitus. I am the Director of Human Resources and Training and Event Management. Today, I'm going to discuss with you the HR dashboard for fiscal year 24. This dashboard enables HR to provide a transparency to the agency and its employees, and also helps identify trends to determine if we are moving in the right direction. As you will see, the information includes gender demographics as an agency, in leadership roles, and within our largest departments of TVC. I believe the information shows that we as an agency are doing well in our male to female ratio. We as an agency are continuing to do well in regards to the ratio in leadership roles. The current numbers include all classifications of supervisors, managers, directors. Although our recruiting efforts are not focused into these areas, it is good to see that gap getting smaller each fiscal year. I am also pleased to note that the difference between the average salary of our female employees and our male employees was less than $1,500. That's annual salary. This difference is pretty amazing considering the amount of male employees to female employee ratio. I believe that we would be a lot closer to that if that ratio was a little bit tighter. Racial demographics are also impressive within the agency. When compared to other state agency demographics, our agency reflects the diversity of our state. Other state agency demographics for 2024 was 41% white, 24% Black, and 27% Hispanic. When you compare that to our agency demographic, you will see that our agency is made up of 40% white, 29% Black, and 25% Hispanic. Again, although our recruiting efforts are not focused in these areas, it's good to see that there is great diversity amongst our staff. Next, we're going to look over at the number FTE by quarter. We have maintained a low FTE count due to attrition, which will be further discussed and explained in the section regarding turnover. But our agency works hard to keep approved positions filled. The average time from job posting to filled is 45 days. SHRM indicates that an efficient hiring process is 41 days. And so we certainly do very well in this category compared to other state agencies whose hiring practices can take up to 90 days or longer. The turnover rate within our agency was 24.28%, which is much higher than last year's 19.77. The results from the employee exit surveys that we conduct and the employee engagement survey that was conducted within our agency revealed that pay is the #1 reason for employee discontent. A significant number of respondents highlighted dissatisfaction with their compensation as a key factor driving the frustration and, in many cases, their decision to leave the organization. While other reasons were noted, inadequate pay emerged as the most consistent and impactful concern affecting overall job satisfaction and retention. This indicates a critical need to reassess our compensation structure, to improve employee morale and reduce that turnover, which is being addressed in our exceptional items request. Voluntary separations made up the largest percentage, and based off of the information collected, the most common reasons for their decision was based on higher salaries. Until the SAO annual report is published next quarter, I am unable to determine how we did in comparison to other state agencies at this time. In the annual compensation report, the report provides the count of each type and amounts of each salary increase that was provided. As you know from our FTE counts, we finished the year with 419 employees. As you can see, we provided 163 employees with some type of compensation increase, totaling an annual impact of $406,921. This does not include that legislative increase, which was given to 100% of our employees. I chose not to include those numbers since that increase was not performance-based. TVC is doing and continues to do a great job in recognizing their employees and ensuring their work is recognized through promotions, increased salaries, and merits. Finally, the employee annual salary shows the largest salary bracket to be between $40,800 to $49,999 per year. It is important to note that only one employee receives that $40,800, and she is actually a part-time employee. So the average salary in the agency was $56,417, where the majority earned at that time $48,600. We are certainly moving into the right direction with the 5% pay increases we've received at the beginning of FY25. We are in an even better position as the average salary now is at $59,387, where the majority now earn $51,600 annually. So compared to FY22, the majority earned at that time $45,600. So this is a difference of $6,000 annually that we've increased since 2022. Pending your questions, that's all I have regarding the HR dashboard.
Commissioners, any questions on the dashboard? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, next we're going to talk over that employee engagement survey results. Let me get to the beginning of that here. Okay. So the survey assists the leadership and forms organizational development and supplies insights for strategic planning. The data provides information not only about employee perceptions of TVC's effectiveness, but also about their satisfaction with TVC and its leadership. TVC participates by completing the survey every 2 years through the University of Texas's Institute of Organizational Excellence. In March, the survey was sent out, and of the 417 employees that were requested to complete it, 303 responded. This left TVC with a response rate of 72.7%. And for context, response rates higher than 50% generally suggest that employees are soundly engaged, while response rates less than 30% would cause concern. So we are well above that 50%. On page 2, you will see the overall score of the survey was 404, which was a slight drop from the previous survey in 2022, which was 408. So a difference of 4, not a lot. The score suggests the agency is highly engaged compared to that of similar agencies. When compared to a nationwide poll, TVC surpasses the national averages. Slide 3 demonstrates the people of our organization and their experience with TVC. The largest group of employees who have been with TVC is from 3 to 10 years. Compared to 2022, it isn't much of a change in the years of service that this organization maintains. Slide 4 demonstrates currently we have 6% of our agency who plan to leave. This could be due to work conditions, market competitiveness, or upcoming retirements. 15% of those claim that they are eligible to retire, and that equates to about 45 employees. And although that sounds like a lot, most of those will not choose retirement because although they are vested, most likely they have not met the requirements to retire immediately with benefits. And our average retirees are about 10 per year. Slide 5, there are 5 ways TVC is planning to improve on retention. This will take efforts from the executive team down to the team supervision. Those efforts include promoting work-life balance, encouraging communication, empowering employees, encouraging professional development, and allow employees opportunities to provide supervisor feedback to assist increasing supervisor effectiveness. All right, slide number 6. On this slide, you're going to see 12 constructs that were evaluated in order from highest to lowest. The areas of strengths you're going to find, our top 3 for the agency is supervision, strategic, and work group. And then those areas of concern were employee development, benefits, and the largest was pay. Slide 7 on the benefits of continuing to participate in these surveys is that we get to see how employee views have changed between because of the implementing those changes that were suggested by the previous years. The green side of this indicates areas where employees perceive improvements, while the negative changes indicate that the perception has worsened. The items of concern that took a significant drop from 22 to 2024 was information systems, workplace, and employee development. So when it comes to information systems, that includes perceptions of whether computer or communication systems provide accessible, accurate, and clear information. When it comes to workplace, that captures employee perceptions of total work atmosphere, safety, adequate space, tools, and resources available to them. And then employee development, the lower score suggests that employees feel stymied in their education and growth in job competence. Okay. Slide 8, the climate of the agency can determine the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. This slide provides a comparison between 22 and 24, where these questions were asked. The comparisons show only minimal changes and the exception of ethics in the workplace, which shows the largest change in perception. The question asked in the survey was, employees are generally ethical in my workplace. When evaluating this construct closely, the overall score was 421, which was well above the survey goal of 375, indicating an overall positive perception. We will continue to address promptly all complaints that are received and continue to promote the appropriate channels to handle potential ethical violations. Slide 9. The survey was broken down into 3 categories of questions: primary items, additional items, and engagement items. In slide 9, we will see the results of those primary items. We had 48 questions that are UT standard questions for the survey. It provides a pulse on the overall feelings of leadership, workplace, and overall job satisfaction. Scores over 3.75 indicate positive perceptions. So there we go with work group encouragement, which received 4.27. Our services meets our clients' needs, received a 4.33 or a 4.33. Slide 10, additional items are 22 questions selected by this agency to add to that survey. Scores again above 3.75 indicate positive perceptions. So those positive perceptions were, I can communicate openly with my supervisor about most things. And then human resources provides excellent customer service in both employees and management. Kudos to my HR team. Slide 11. Employee engagement items span several constructs and capture whether the employee is willing to go above and beyond and their to TVC. Scores above 3.75 again indicate that positive perception. So those 2 top tiers were in my group work, I can share my opinions and ideas, received a score of 4.32. And I am evaluated fairly, scored a score of 4.30. Both very good. Slide 12. This slide provides the timeline associated with the survey review process and includes development of possible changes and the resurvey in 2026. I have met with the departments and many are already in the process of creating change teams and identifying areas of improvement and focus within their departments. For example, VES has identified their change team who will be forming focus groups across their districts, which they've already started doing. During this time, they will dive deep into the areas of the survey in order to better understand responses and make a plan on what to sustain within the district and where improvements can be made. Claims has began work groups to assist in understanding the responses received to develop focused recommendations for improvement. Healthcare advocacy has taken a different approach and has sent out an anonymous survey to their employees to allow their staff to provide comments to better understand their perceptions and what is working well within HCAD and what is not, and what areas need improvement. Vets Ed identified 2 areas as their priority, and those areas are employee professional development and supervision. So their goals are to include initiating a 360 where employees can provide feedback about their supervisor and providing designated time monthly for LinkedIn Learning, while also giving personalized opportunities for training throughout the year. That completes the overview, pending any questions.
Sorry about that. Commissioners, any additional questions at all? I know we were hoping to get that presented at the last commissioners meeting, and I appreciate you spending the time to come in because it is so important. And thank you for everything that you guys do. I'm encouraged to see we continue to have really high engagement scores in our surveys.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that even with that, we look deep into each of the survey results to try to improve. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that
ma'am.
attention. Okay, thank you very much.
Again, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Ms. Palladino, for the record, Chip Osborne, and we'll now talk about the performance measures for FY 24, the results. Just as a reminder, these performance measures, we all developed these and got them approved back in FY 22. Then they go over in our LAR and get finalized and then become part of our General Appropriations Act. So those figures are there. So I've broken this report down into two segments for you. The first one we want to look at is the outcome measures for FY 24. When you look on the first page, you'll see 1 through 8. All those performance measures exceeded their target. I actually also added some footnotes for you as a reminder that once we go into fiscal year 26-27, because this last strategic plan we did for FY 24, we changed some of our performance measures. We actually improved them. And then in the LAR, we place new target goals for these programs. That's when you actually do it. We only had one that did not hit the target, and that was goal number 2, and that's VA awards for disabled, impoverished veterans. Actually, that target is set too high. So as you see, we're going to go into 26-27 and go at 75 instead of 179.19 for that target. Outcome measures are only reported once a year, okay? On the second page, again, I've done the same thing. I've annotated for you if there's a change or if there is no change, what will be those targets for those programs. That concludes my portion of the outcome measures. If there are any questions on the outcome measures.
Any questions, Tom, or comments? Okay.
The second report is going to be on the output and efficiency measures. Same methodology I used on there. When you look at it, starts with claims, page 2 of 19. Claims did not hit that target. However, we're scheduling to change that target because this measure actually has been impacted by, we changed the methodology. Instead, we actually count forms instead of actually, individual issues. So there was a methodology changed in that. We got that now annotated in the performance measures, as well as changing the target goal from 126,800 down to 45,000 to make it more realistic to fall in line with that. On page 3 of 9, again, these measures, this one is scheduled to be totally deleted. So it will come off the books, and we've already gotten that approved from the governor's office and the LBB. So it's already there. And you can well see, again, this one was impacted by the PAC Act as well as the Blue Water. So I'm glad to see this measure go away. When we go over to page 4 of 19, That measure basically, again, was our VA cases, again, to try to get it in line. It did exceed the target. So you see the new target going forward for it. On page 5 of 19, that's the last performance measure for the claims department. Again, role has changed with a strike force team to concentrate on reviewing decisions and appeals with those folks currently that have 14 FTEs. And again, we're going to adjust the target to more realistic terms and have it set at 5,000 for 26 and 27. All of the other performance measures are there. It's throughout the report. I'll pause in case you have questions about any particular performance measures.
Thank you, Chip. Commissioners, any questions on the performance measures?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Deputy Executive Director Sean DeBay.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, my name is Sean DeBay, the Deputy Executive Director for the Veterans Commission. I promise to be brief as I'm going to turn over to Angela Wellner, the Director for Communications and Outreach, to talk about our partnership with the Veterans Land Board Call Center, as well as Dr. Crystal Matthews to talk about the Women Veterans Report. But Chip mentioned the session. The session officially starts January 14th and ends June 2nd, but we have been receiving bills already. Bill filing started this past Tuesday. So we do have software to track all veteran-related bills as well as bills that could affect TVC. So for the next commission meeting, I'm sure you get plenty more updates as these bills start working its way through. We have had several meetings with the Speaker's office to discuss our exceptional items. And then there's been a lot of focus on veterans' mental health. I want to thank Dr. Harris for being able to provide a lot of a wealth of information to the Speaker's office when it comes to veterans' mental health, suicide prevention, homelessness, to be specific. We've also met with a lot of other legislators on the House and the Senate side. They're also interested in our exceptional items. This is really good to get all these questions. So we're hoping all these questions leads to a very successful session for us to get us additional resources. We also, between sessions, we like to recognize legislators who show support to the veterans in the state of Texas. So we're almost wrapping that up, giving them veteran certificates of appreciation and things like that to thank them for their service for Texas veterans. And the last thing I want to talk about is, of course, every quarter I come up and talk about the Texas Coordinating Council for Veteran Services report. I know Mr. Palladino sent that to you all at the end of September. That is the 7th edition that first started in 2012. And this last report is, got to say, it looks amazing. I want to thank our communications and outreach team, as well as the council members for providing that input. But it's a really great report. I don't know if you had a chance to review that yet, but it looks really, really good. And before I turn it over to Angela, I would like to also thank Dr. Crystal Matthews. This Women Veterans Report that you see in your folder that she's going to go over looks amazing. She did a great job, as well as our communications and outreach department to help out making those designs. So unless you have any questions for me, I'll turn it over to Angela.
Any questions, commissioners? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Again, good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Executive Director Palladino. As part of the state of Texas's commitment to serving veterans, the Texas Veterans Commission and the Veterans Land Board have two memorandums of understanding, or MOUs. I'd also like to recognize that we have our VLB Executive Secretary, Tony Dale, as well as our VLB Director of Marketing and Outreach, Elliot Weeks, in the audience as well. Thank you for being here. One of the MOUs covers both the communications and outreach efforts to be shared by our agencies. That includes the joint Veterans Benefit Fairs that we hold. You may remember that the first one of these was in San Angelo earlier this year, followed by another successful event in Tyler in August. And we're excited to announce we have another one on the calendar for January 18th, 2025 in South Texas in Edinburgh. So looking forward to that next one as well. Now, the separate MOU is for the Veterans Call Center. Previously, TVC and VLB had their own separate call centers. In 2007, the legislature consolidated them, requiring VLB to operate it and work with TVC. Under our current MOU for fiscal years 2024 and 2025, we have transferred over $72,000 to the VLB in FY24 and over $74,000 to the VLB in FY25. The VLB is paying roughly $282,000 separate from the amount they receive from us to operate the call center. The MOU also discusses how TVC provides training to call center employees as well as monthly call center reports. The most common calls are for loan application status, letter of approval for land loan, booking a TVC claims appointment, status of TVC appointment, and educational benefits through TVC. They recently compiled annual reports that show the steady increase of calls and the number of calls for TVC services specifically for the past several years. Now, if you would like to review either MOU, they are in the folder, and you can also follow along with me on the Texas Veterans Call Center Metrics PowerPoint file if you would like, which is in your folder as well. In addition, the VLB has provided a letter of documentation that is in your folder, so you should have had all of those ahead of this meeting. In FY 2022, the call center received nearly 34,000 calls. Almost 7,000 of those were for the TVC. In FY 2023, the call center received over 47,000 calls. More than 14,000 of those were for TVC. In FY 2024, the call center received over 62,000 calls, with more than 21,000 of those for TVC. That shows that the calls into the Veterans Call Center have nearly doubled in the last 3 fiscal years and tripled for the Texas Veterans Commission calls. Now, the current MOUs with the Veterans Land Board run through FY 2025. Our TVC leadership and VLB leadership will work together on this issue to see what solutions we can provide to resolve this increase of service through the Veterans Call Center. We'll have a plan to update the MOU ahead of the next 2-year contract beginning September 2025. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to present this information, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Angela. And I did want to offer opportunity for Tony Dale with the Veteran Land Board to come by and speak, since you so graciously came to visit us. So I'd like to give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members, Mr. Palladino. My name is Tony Dale. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Texas Veterans Land Board. And on behalf of Chairwoman Dawn Buckingham and our board, I want to thank you for the collaboration that we do, not just in this area, but in many different areas. As you heard during the report, we are seeing an increase in calls into the call center. And I think that's a reflection of a number of things. You've probably heard reports that we're now the #1 state for living veterans. So we have more and more veterans every year that we're serving. But we also saw, I think, a tremendous bump due to the PACT Act. We got a lot of calls in then. And I would be remiss if I didn't commend both your marketing team and our marketing team for making sure veterans know that this service is available. So that's important too, right? The more we advertise it, we would hope more veterans would take advantage of it. Our #1 goal with the call center is to make sure that veterans are connected to the benefits that they received and are eligible for due to their honorable service to this country. And we're going to make every effort to make sure that whether the call volume increases or decreases, that we're doing our very best to answer the calls to get the veterans connected with the services they need. So we do work on evaluating not just our staffing, but we're going to be looking at our technology, making sure that there are additional self-help options available for veterans who want to take care of that so that they can get connected as quickly as possible. So Elliot Weeks, who's here as well, as you heard, is going to be working with your team to look at what can we do across the board to make sure that we're just as efficient as possible. But I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you very much for your partnership in this.
Thank you, Tony. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Comment real quick. Thank you for the collaboration. It works. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Unless you have anything further for me, Dr. Crystal Matthews?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, I'm Dr. Crystal Matthews, the Director of the Women Veterans Program, and I would like to provide an update on the Women Veterans Program or Women Veterans Report that we recently submitted. Some background information, the Women Veterans Report is submitted to the governor, lieutenant governor, and the legislature every even number year by November 1st. The report includes the estimate number of women veterans in the state, the number of women veterans who contacted and received assistance from Texas Veterans Commission and other state agencies, unique problems faced by women veterans, and recommendations to address those challenges. Population. So according to the VA National Center for Veterans Analysis and Statistics, Texas has the largest population of women veterans in the nation, estimated at 207,552. On page 9 of the report, it includes a graphic on the current estimated population and the projected growth. Texas women veterans population is expected to increase by 7.25% over the next 5 years to an estimated 222,571 women veterans. As it pertains to TVC requests and assistance in fiscal year 23 and 24, TVC engaged a combined total of 219,120 women veterans. On page 10 of the report, it includes a graphic with the number of services requested and delivered by each TVC program and department that collects the data based on their specific program requirements. I would like to acknowledge and thank Texas Health and Human Services Commission for providing information for this report. In FY23 and 24, they provided a combined total of 3,315 services to women veterans. Then I'll move on to the current status. The current unique needs of women veterans were assessed via an online survey, virtual town halls, and the TVC's 2024 needs assessment report. I would like to point out that the top 4 unique needs reported by women veterans that completed the survey were women veteran groups, mental health, healthcare, and VA claims assistance. As in previous years, it appears that services and resources that are available in some communities may not be available in other communities or accessible in other communities. To conclude my report, I would like to thank all the TVC departments and programs that responded to requests for data for this report, our communications team for the design of the report, and then for our government relations team for getting this report submitted in a timely manner. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Any questions? I do acknowledge that the graphics on the report are quite nice.
Yeah. Yes, Crystal did a great job. Crystal with a C. Thank you, sir.
And so the purpose of this report is really to assist the legislature so they understand what some of the needs of the women veterans are. So as they draft legislation, they can take that into account.
Yes, ma'am, that's great.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any questions or comments? Can you turn your mic on, Mike?
I was off. Okay. Sorry, couldn't hear me. No, I just want to say that I was at all at this report, the data that's involved, and all of the information that is given should be a report that may be taken, for example, in other states. In our state of Texas, quite proud of the Texas women veterans, and this report is an example of that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez. Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming up and presenting that to us.
Thank you.
Sean, anything more for your department? Okay. Moving on, we'll have Tom Palladino, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, all members of the Texas Veterans Commission, all members of the public. Hope everyone had a happy Veterans Day. I know there was a lot of events around the state. A lot of members of this agency were participating in those events, as well as our partner organizations and the veterans of the great state of Texas. So happy Veterans Day to everyone. I want to thank the commissioners for participating in those Veterans Day events, as well as participating in all of the Red, White, and U job fairs. So we do in collaboration with Texas Workforce Commission in the 28 workforce boards. I think that they made a difference in the veteran employment around the state. And so we do those every year, but also during the year, our veteran employment team with Texas Workforce Commission and the boards do other job fairs for veterans as well. Angela mentioned the veteran benefit fairs. We're planning more and more of those and reaching out to communities that want to do that. And so one of our number one priorities is to increase awareness of our services and awareness of all our partner services. So, you know, we not only do we provide services, but we collaborate with federal, state, local governments, nonprofits to increase the awareness of the resources that are out there to meet the needs of our veterans. And that's an ongoing mission, an ongoing battle. And so I think that we're coming up with innovative ways to increase the awareness and outreach. Sean DeBay and I are going to participate in the Economic Development Initiative by the VA. The VA does an economic development summit in Waco next week, and it's also a benefits fair. So it's a veteran benefits fair as well as an economic summit. So we're going to be involved with that. The VA has a piece of that pie as well. I wanted to also mention that the Fund for Veteran Assistance grant application period ended on the 12th, which is 2 days ago. And so Elaine Zavala, who's I think doing a fantastic job as the director of the Fund for Veteran Assistance, and her team has provided excellent customer service to all of the applicants during the grant period with any issues they had with applying for their grants on the website and resolving those issues for them. So I applaud the FVA staff for providing that great customer service. And so now the applications are in. The staff will now process those. They will go to the advisory committee in the January, February, March time period, and then, of course, to the commissioners in May. Also, Angela did not mention, but I wanted to mention on her behalf is her team, you know, they've been developing these reports, the Texas Coordinating Council Veteran Report, Women Veterans Report. They've also completed a biennial TVC report. Every 2 years, we do it right before the legislative session. It's complete. We've reviewed it. It's going to go off to print. And I think once she's prepared, once she's ready, then we'll send it to all the commissioners. So you just have an electronic version, and then we'll print versions. And they did a fantastic job with that. Lastly, I'd like to announce that Kathy Cordova, our general counsel, has announced her retirement. She's going to retire, I think, this December. And after, I think, 27 years of service for the great state of Texas, and the last couple of years with the Veterans Commission. And I want to publicly, we're going to do it a celebration for her, but I want to publicly thank Kathy for her dedicated service to the state and to the agency.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, so that concludes our reports. We do have some items under consideration. Do any of the commissioners feel I would like to take a short break before we jump into the consideration items. So with that, let's take about a 10-minute break. And so we'll just take recess until about 10:30 and then come back and we'll start again. Thank you. You made me use it.
You have to have a bell, right? Let's ring the bell.
Okay, we're going to move on to our first consideration item, which is agenda item 6A on the agenda. This is action regarding proposed amendments to Administrative Rule, Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 15, Chapter 452, Section 452.2, which is the advisory committees. And I will turn this over to Kathy Cordova.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, TVC staff and guests. For the record, I'm Kathy Cordova, General Counsel for the Texas Veterans Commission, and I'm here to present these changes to our administrative rules. My first item is item 6A, which relates to the proposed amendments to section 452.2 advisory committees in Title 40, Part 15 of the Texas Administrative Code. Since the Veteran Services Advisory Committee and the Veterans County Service Officer Advisory Committee were abolished, the commission staff is proposing to amend this rule to remove references to those two committees. If there are no questions, commission staff seek your approval to publish the proposed amendments to the rules in the Texas Register for 30 days for public comment.
Thank you, Kathy. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the proposed amendments of the amendments to Administrative Rule, Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 15, Chapter 452, Section 452.2, Advisory Committees to remove the Veteran Service Advisory Committee and Veteran County Service Officer Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Okay, I heard three. So
Mike can have it down there.
Okay, so Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Barber. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved. Okay, next agenda item is 6B, action regarding also an administrative code change on sick leave pool and family leave pool. Kathy?
Yes, ma'am. Item 6B concerns two proposed new rules about the agency's sick leave pool and family leave pool. In Title 40, Part 15 of the Texas Administrative Code. The new rules are sections 452.9 sick leave pool and 452.10 family leave pool. Each state agency must establish a program that allows employees to voluntarily transfer their sick leave to a sick leave pool. This program is intended to assist employees and their immediate families who have exhausted their sick leave due to catastrophic illnesses or injuries. Each state agency must also establish a program that allows employees to voluntarily transfer accrued sick leave or vacation leave to a family leave pool, which is intended to provide eligible state employees the flexibility to bond with and care for children during a child's first year following birth, adoption, or foster placement, or to care for a seriously ill family member or the employee. Commission staff proposes adding these new rules because Texas Government Code Chapter 661 requires state agencies to adopt leave pool administration rules. TVC, I'll point out, TVC has established policies and procedures for both leave pools. The new rules are just to recognize the current commission practices. If there are no questions, commission staff are requesting approval to post the proposed new rules to the Texas Register for a period of 30 days for public comment.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions, commissioners? Do I hear a motion to approve a proposed new administrative code rule under the Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 15, Chapter 452, Sections 452.9 and 452.10 to add sick leave pool and family leave pool? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it's Commissioner Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
And that's Commissioner Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved. Thank you. Oh, and we still have you. One more, right? Okay. This one is the veteran verification letter procedures. Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Item 6C concerns the repeal of Chapter 463 in Title 40, Part 15 of the Texas Administrative Code relating to the veteran verification letter. This chapter outlines TVC's procedures for providing the verification letters to veteran-owned businesses. Staff recommends repeal of this chapter for two reasons. One, these rules are not required by law. In fact, the law relating to veteran-owned businesses requires the comptroller to adopt rules, which it has. Two, since Chapter 463 outlines the procedures for issuing a veteran verification letter, any change would require amending the rules. By deleting this chapter, TVC staff can modify the procedures without having to amend the rule. If there are no questions, commission staff are requesting approval to post the proposed repeal of the rules to the Texas Register for public comment for 30 days.
Thank you, Kathy. And just for clarification for the public is we will continue to support veteran verification letters. We just don't have it written in our rule. We'll keep it in our policy. The comptroller has the rule.
the comptroller has a role, and in addition, TBC has procedures on its website in the.
And that will
entrepreneurial
stay the
program.
same.
That will stay the same, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion to approve the proposed repeal of Administrative Rule, Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 15, Chapter 463, to repeal the veteran verification letter procedures?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My presentation is concluded.
Thank you. Next agenda item is agenda item 6D, which is the action regarding staff recommendations to appoint new FVA advisory committee members. And I'll pass this on to Shonda Bay.
Good morning again, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, Sean DeBay, Deputy Executive Director for the Veterans Commission. I'll be covering the 4 vacancies for the Fund for Veterans Assistance Advisory Committee. There are 3 members where their term is expiring December 31st, 2024. And we had 1 resignation where their term was to expire December 31st of 2026. We received a great deal of applications, a lot of them, which you have, we ranked the top 6. I know there are 4 vacancies, but we wanted to allow 2 alternates in case there's any issue with the 4 being nominated or mentioned. So in your folder, you have the 6 applications. You also have in your folder the ranking of those 6 applications, and then the current roster in case you wanted to see the list of 9 current members of the advisory committee. And what I want to focus on are the recommendations. We have 4, go to the glasses. We have 4 that are leaving. Jamila James, I think you heard these names earlier, but just to make sure, Jamila James, Carrie Raina, Dan Ball, and Luis Martinez. We're recommending a reappointment or appointment for Mike Griffin to fill Jamila James' term, which ends December 31st, 2026. A note here, if Mike Griffin is the appointment, he will have an opportunity to come back and have another 4-year term. So he doesn't just do the 2 years and done. He has the opportunity for reappointment. Jim Brennan, Christian Price, and Tori Seals to round out the 4. Thus, that's staff's recommendation, pending your questions.
Thank you, Sean. Commissioners, any questions on staff recommendations? Do I hear a motion to accept the staff recommendations to appoint the new Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee members?
So moved.
Okay, I hear Commissioner Dale's motion and second with Commissioner Barber. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved. And then you'll be presenting the recommendation for the FVA committee.
Right. With Carrie Raina leaving, that leaves a vacancy for the chair to run this advisory committee. We did reach out to all 5 advisory committee members who are in place and ask them if they were interested in being the chairperson. The vice chair, Peter Rispoli, did respond saying he would like to be the chair. You also see in your folder, you see his letter or his document saying that he would like to be chair. And then you see our recommendation as well for him to be chair of the advisory committee. Since he has served as the vice chair, he's done a tremendous job as indicated in our letter. And pending your questions, we recommend him to be the next chair through December 31st, 2026. And that's when his term ends.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to accept staff recommendations to appoint Pete Rispoli to the chair of the Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Commissioner Wright, are you voting? Are you in favor? Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Thank you, Sean. Next agenda item is agenda item 6F, which is discussion and action regarding proposed revision to the Veteran Treatment Court FVA grant award limits. And I'm going to ask Elaine Zavala, the Director for Fund for Veteran Assistance, to give this presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, Elaine Zavala, Fund for Veterans Assistant Director. Today, I'm presenting on the agenda item 6F, proposed revision to the Veterans Treatment Court FVA grant award limits. You may follow along my consideration summary that can be found in the commission folder. So Commissioners, the Fund for Veterans Assistance recommends maintaining the current policy that was established during the last request for applications update at the August commission meeting held earlier this year. Therefore, we believe no motion is necessary for this action. To provide background on our recommendation, the Veterans Treatment Court grant program specifically supports eligible local government entities in delivering services through treatment courts established under our Texas Government Code. Previously, funding award limits were set at $300,000 for county level VTCs and $500,000 for regional courts. In August 2024, the commission approved an increase for the 25-26 RFA. That was the one we just spoke about. November 12th, it closed. This adjustment accommodated for the extended grant period of 14 months compared to the standard 12 months. We do plan to maintain these higher limits, even if the grant period does return to that 12-month grant period. Therefore, the current award limits right now for the veteran treatment courts are as follows. County level VTCs are at $400,000. Regional veteran treatment courts, that means serving 2 or more counties, are at $600,000. And so the FVA initially considered funding courts based on the number of counties that they serve, for example, like a sliding scale. However, we ultimately decided against this approach, recognizing that grant applicants should have the flexibility to request funding based on their specific needs. Additionally, we thought making a standard funding amount per county across Texas would be impractical due to significant variations in county size, location, and other unique factors facing that county. We do acknowledge that the demand for court services could grow and have accounted for this by allowing those regional courts to apply for the greater amount of $600,000. To provide the commission more context, the following tables in the summary document displays veteran treatment court and regional VTC grant performance for 23-24 and 22-23 grant years. The data in the two tables illustrate for the past 2 years, the courts have not fully utilized their allocated budgets, resulting in unspent funds each year. And please note that the 23-24 grants table, you can see that some county level courts are serving more than just the one county, even though they are not categorized or titled as a regional court. Additionally, I want to highlight that the Funds for Veterans Assistance Grant Program had provided over 63% of total VTC funding across the state, according to the Veterans Mental Health Department's 2024 annual report on veteran treatment court programs. Veteran treatment courts can also apply for funding via additional sources. That's listed below in the benefits section. The DOJ, the Office of the Governor's Criminal Division, Substance and Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, the SF 421 Fund, and the Bureau of Justice Assistance. And lastly, if there is a proposed revision to increase VTC court funding, let's look at the financial impact. In 2024-2025, the commission awarded that record number of $44.2 million in grant funding. Therefore, there is an estimated $33 million in grants that are eligible for renewal in 2025-2026. That will come up in the May meeting in 2025. Therefore, the current budget might not be able to accommodate a proposed increase in award limits for VTC grants because that renewal funding is prioritized for 2025 and 2026. And if you remember, our publicized projected award funding for 25-26 was at 31 million. That's 30 million for all of the grant programs, and then the 1 million allocated to veteran service dogs. So again, $33 million is up for renewal in May. That's a projected amount if all the grantees meet their performance measures. So again, we recommend keeping the current policy as is, and that concludes my presentation pending any commissioners' questions.
Thank you, Elaine. Commissioner Wright?
So we have 5, we call them tranches, or I call them tranches of service. And as we can see on the report, VTC is going to effectively give back. They have not spent almost 800,000. Does that stay in that tranche, or does this all pile back into the general fund? I've never known.
That's a great question. So everything goes back into the big pile. The only one that is allocated specifically for a certain tranche is going to be that service dog grant applications.
So we've officially gone to the dogs. I love that joke.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Barber?
Real quick, Elaine, on the 33 million, that's an estimated based on all of the grants renewing, correct?
That's
What's
correct.
the delta between that estimate and what we normally do? Does that make sense?
I can
What
find
percent
that
off
out
of
for
the
you.
33 million? Do we
I'm sorry?
usually go? What percent of the 33 million doesn't get renewed?
I would have to look back at our previous data to get you that number, but I will let the commissioners know that the direction of the FVA for this grant period, for the grants that started on July 1, because we had such a large number, that record $44 million, our staff have really prioritized working with those grantees to make sure that they are attempting to hit their performance numbers. So we actually do project that we will have better results this year due to our customer service.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is I'm just trying to get out ahead of it in my head. What are we going to have? What aren't we going to have? You know, we played this game all the time. So I'm just curious as to what percent off of that 33 million. Sounds like you're projecting to come right in on top of it. So
We would say, yeah, I mean, that's what we hope for, right? We want our grants to perform and we want them to serve veterans.
I think we can have staff get that back to us because I don't think we renew every grant every year.
Correct.
We have never. So it'd be good to see some historical performance.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can do that.
But I do want to remind the commissioners that based off of Michelle's presentation, there's also $8 million on top of that 31. So we could potentially use up to 39 in this next grant cycle. And even if all 33 million, that it would only be 6 million for new, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
We've never really had that situation before.
no,
so.
we haven't.
And Madam Chair,
Okay.
may I ask if you would like a preliminary update from the closing of our RFA that happened on November 12th?
I will, but hold on one second before
ma'am.
we jump into that. Commissioner Wright?
I was just going to say, this is going to just be, if I'm mentally doing this correctly going forward, this is only going to be a 1-year problem because it will only be whatever is left this year that gets awarded a new grant will be the only ones that will be up for renewal in 2026. I'm trying to think all of this forward. So it's really just a 1-year problem, and it's a good problem to have.
Well, we have it every year.
Well, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that the ones that we renew this time will have to reapply in 2026.
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, good problem to have because it means we're serving veterans.
Any other questions on this? I do appreciate staff taking a look at the opportunity for adjusting, but hearing that we're going to just continue on the same path unless I have a motion. I don't think we have any other items, but I will like to get that report. Commissioner Barber, anything? Okay. since we just closed the grant cycle, do you have an update?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we are still collecting data, but I have a preliminary update for you all. We have over 225 applications submitted. We are going to look at the applications that are in flux right now. And if we have any questions, we are reaching out to organizations if documents are missing, giving them that 5-day grace period. And right now we are projected over $60 million that has been requested. So that is the largest grant application cycle that we have ever had. Last year we were at 180 and we are climbing from 220.
Thank you, Elaine. Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. That's the last of the consideration items. However, we will be going into an executive session. So when we go into executive session, I'm going to ask people to leave, and I believe we'll stay in here and say who would need to stay. So as authorized by Vernon's Texas Code, annotated Government Code Sections 551.074, the Texas Veterans Commission will adjourn into executive session. Following executive session, the commission will reconvene in open and public session to take any action as may be desired or necessary as a result of closed deliberations. We will now start the executive session. Ask everyone to leave the room at this time. We'll advise you when executive session is over and the open meeting will reconvene. TVC into open session. There are no actions that needed to be taken due to deliberation happened in executive session. With that, commissioners, we need to discuss and set the date for the quarterly commission meeting for February. The TVC staff has recommended February 13th, 2025 at 9 a.m. If everyone can please check to see if that works for your calendars. It is a Thursday. Any concerns? Okay. Hearing none, we're just going to assume everything's good. Okay, so our next meeting is scheduled for February 13th, 2025 at the George H.W. Bush Building, Boardroom 4.300. So right here in Austin, Texas at 9 a.m. Now I'll call on each commissioner for closing comments and then of course the executive director if you have any as well. So Commissioner Dale, do you have any?
No, just I know a lot of our staff went back to work, but please pass on the Happy Veterans Day to them. Thank them for all their hard work. I know we're very proud that a lot of our agency is employed employs veterans. I think a majority of our employees are veterans. So please pass on my wishes and my thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hernandez.
I just want to say thank you to all the presentations. Very good information and so forth. So happy belated Veterans Day and continue the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barber.
Thank you for your service, everyone, and have a safe holiday season. It's volatile out here, so take the time to enjoy. Make sure everybody around you, check on them, make sure they're doing okay. We're moving into the holidays. We see an uptick in a lot of things that create stress. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Wright.
Happy birthday to all of my Marines. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. And I know most of us are veterans. I want to reiterate what has been said. I continue to be really impressed with not only the effort the staff puts in, our staff puts in, but also with the enthusiasm with which they do their jobs. And then I'll look forward to seeing everybody next year.
Thank you. Tom.
Thank you, Chair. I want to do a shout out to anybody who's watching online as part of the Texas Veterans Commission or any of our partner organizations. So thank you for what you do for our veterans. and to make Texas the best place in the country for our services to veterans, families, and survivors. So happy holidays.
Thank you, Tom. And I also want to reiterate Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all the staff. I know we've had a really busy quarter with events with both the grants across Texas and then followed by, we had veteran fairs and then we have Red, White, and You, and we had Veterans Day. So a lot of events. I think I saw almost everyone here at some event over the last few months. So thank you for all of your work. And happy holidays to the holiday season coming up. I will be here for the Christmas party, so I look forward to celebrating with you. And also, go Navy, beat Army. Okay. Okay, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is approved. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.